Richard MARU resigns from PNC. CEOs of food companies in PNG raise concerns. And community elevated after 8 years of court battle.
This is National MTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's news. Member for Yanguru South Sea Richard MARU announced his resignation from the PNC party at a news conference today. He further stated that he will move to the middle benches in the next parliament sitting. He formally handed his resignation to the PNC party last Friday.
The member for Yanguru South Sea, Richard MARU, will be moving to the middle bench in the next parliament sitting. He thanked the former government for appointing him as planning minister. During that time, he had the opportunity to write the medium-term development plan number 3.
I thank the former government for appointing me planning minister. It was during the time that I had the opportunity to write the medium-term development plan number 3. That was a very exhausting, very insightful exercise, and I learned a lot from that, and clearly know the development path our country should be taking, because I basically wrote the plan. However, time has come for me to say goodbye to PNC and our leader, Peter O'Neill. It wasn't an easy decision, I must tell all of you. For over 12 months, my people in my district have been asking me to leave the party. Many commentators in PNG have been asking me to leave, but I hung on as a matter of principle. I wanted to show the nation I'm not a yo-yo. I'm a principled leader, and decisions I take must always be in the interest of, firstly, my constituents in Yanguru South Sea, my province, and of course the country.
He further stated his reasons for his move, which is for his people. He needs government support for major developments in his districts and believes these projects will benefit the nation greatly.
And I cannot sit in the opposition while we continue with the power play and quest for power at the expense of the people of Yanguru South Sea and ECP. I need to make important moves to create a political climate where funding can be provided to complete such important projects that I initiated in my time in government.
With his position in the middle benches, MARU says he can work in helping the government with its initiatives and projects to create a better PNG. Esther Thailam, National MTV News.
Food companies in Papua New Guinea are concerned about food security and have the vision of exporting more lucrative agricultural products to other countries. Speaking to MTV over recent days, the CEOs of 2 of Papua New Guinea's biggest food companies share their thoughts about PNG's agriculture industry going forward after COVID-19 ravaged year 2020.
Food supply was an enormous challenge in 2020, with the COVID-19 pandemic affecting businesses and livelihoods severely, with rippling effects still being experienced as the PNG economy recovers gradually. Given PNG's huge landmass and a heritage of being great farmers, Trukai Industries Limited CEO Alan Preston says PNG government's agriculture policy development has to strongly take into account food security and lucrative crops that people in PNG can farm and can also be exported.
When it comes to policy development by the government, I think they have to think about food security. They have to think about what's best for what are the most lucrative crops that Papua New Guinea can grow, not only for the domestic economy, but allows those products to be then exported out of the country.
CEO Preston says it is important for food companies to work with local farmers to encourage small local agriculture businesses and also to enable the best food quality and at the most affordable prices for consumers.
Trukai is working with over 200 farmers now to grow rice, mostly in the Markham Valley, and some of those have been very successful, some have not been. So we're still trying to find the sweet spot for how much rice can be effectively and economically grown here and how much we should import to make sure the Papua New Guinea consumer gets the best product at the best price.
CEO of Paradise Foods Limited, James Rice, also shares the vision of having locally produced goods to be exported to enable a better PNG economy. Paradise Foods Limited has been working with local cocoa farmers for its Queen Emma chocolate production, and CEO Rice would like the product to be exported eventually.
Chocolate is still a great opportunity for us. We're working on our plans. We haven't finalized, so some of the stuff you heard is not approved yet. We're working on it, but we're working on a good plan to invest and grow that business. We think of chocolate as a great growth opportunity for us. Today, it's less than 3% of our business, and we're very small in the chocolate world, but there's a great opportunity to grow that. And our vision is that it's an export product that we could sell outside of PNG.
Localizing ingredients for various food products is also part of the plan for Paradise Foods Limited, a company that is reinvesting a lot of its profits from 2020 to improve its production lines, particularly in terms of machinery. CEO Rice also envisions that this will localize jobs that are usually done by people from other countries.
We did some initiatives since you've been here to localize some things. I've been working on a project to localize some of our ingredients, which I would like to see all CEOs look at what they buy and figure out what they could bring here. So since you've been here, we started a ice cream cone machine, and we make ice cream cones here. It used to be something that we imported from the Philippines, and now we make it here. And so that's 2 million kina less every year that we send overseas to buy something. And it's 18 new jobs here that used to be in the Philippines and now belong to Papua New Guineans here. And we have 3 other projects like that to localize things that we used to import.
Danny Sorere, National MTV News.
Several businesses will be affected along 9 Mile in Port Moresby as a planned 4-lane road is being constructed. Mek Lawai, a local businessman, told MTV he and other business operators didn't have the chance to meet with the city authority to see how this road may pass through with limited harm to their business operations.
The main Hubert Murray Highway passing through 9 Mile and onto the Hiritano Highway. Here, the new 4-lane road will be built to cater for the growing demand, allowing access in and out of the city from residents as well as those from the Central and Gulf provinces. While this development has been welcomed by businesses here, several stand to lose business because of the government initiative, including this property owner, Mek Lawai.
Big business may affected because demolition not giving me blame, billing me. Let me affected. I'm not me as a businessman and me no amomas.
Mek is a long-time resident of 9 Mile and owns several properties which he has leased to foreigners to operate. This building is complete, and while the operators are ready to stock the shop with goods, the shop will have to sacrifice at least 5 meters of its car park space for the new road.
People blow 9 Mile blow amomas now. Me blow and borders blow. Gavenaya. Na mi blam boras blong GDC me babla notice John Kaupatu. Na why do blow him mi la like service road. But road kan mi chelo building na property blue la good la. E bakara yumi bakara live lo yumi.
The planned road construction will also continue from 9 Mile roundabout following the Sogeri Road onto Bomana. Here already markers have been put on the fences of the shops. The local businessman claims the road plan seems to eat into where the businesses operate and where people live, not making use of the vacant space on the other side of the road. The chairman of the interest group that lives at 9 Mile is also concerned.
Only suppose long come not talk sabe. Elio some talk now this time a road and by gold come up with them. So you plan so some surgi go down or some. Only no been talk sabe.
The business owner has written to the city authority and its elected leaders and is awaiting their feedback. Bradley Valenaki, National MTV News.
A community in Port Moresby's northeast is relieved after an 8-year court battle ended. Leaders say the eviction that occurred within 25 minutes destroyed their lives, and they have been suffering following the use of force and suppression by those seeking to acquire the piece of land. A gathering was held recently to give comfort and hope to those that were evicted in 2013.
Portion 1564 is adjacent to the road that links Parliament, Gordons to Erima and the airport to the main highway. It's a community who has settled since 1989 and comprises of 21 ethnic groups. However, in 2013, a massive eviction exercise was carried out after an individual claiming to hold the title of the land.
Plenty blooming blow come out, no house blow sleep, all die. Now plenty blooming blow, now I'm all stop nothing. Now you looking on top of the mountain, all the way stop here, plenty old bed stop on in it. Plenty blooming blow now sleep blow, rent house coming up now. Plenty old beginning no go school. Em kaige blow slave eviction me black simya. Now me blow through me blow innocent line.
After 8 years of endless court battles, the court, through a 3-man Supreme Court decision, upheld the National Court decision with victory to the people. Community leaders say they have remained intact because of the truth behind the land title. They say despite being suppressed, they held on.
Now, talk to me, been stop and sell on the paper. Time I'm like removing me blah or evicting me blah. Me blah looking for some and blah, German story blank and all that stuff and says. So me sabe or son, me believe him. Also, this case and midlumber win.
The piece of land was claimed by a business linked to the former Mosby Northeast MP. While the 8 years court battle ends, people here are slowly rebuilding their lives. Many expressed dissatisfaction over issuing of land titles to foreigners while neglecting nationals.
Me got equitable interest. Me no one blah India or China or Hong Kong or this is money. This is my country. Why now land the tenim this law pussycat basis law yana? Only rousing me blah and picking dog law country blow me blah.
Portion 1564 is valued at 300 million kina. A local businessman told the community with the legal battle over, people must settle with plans according to city authorities and what the national government intends to do while empowering people.
So rights play you lo stop here. And one, you must get water. You must get power. Now you must get ground. What are the powers that stop on top of ground? Maybe this land settlement or same now only move him. He got 7 man. I'm looking you or say you place man, I'm rousing you. I'm story you get you sawe. ID 24 me come in law human rights.
Jack LaPava Jr., National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Among stories after the break, teachers raise concerns over the pay fixation agreement and the PNG Defence Force welcomes its new minister. Details after the break. Welcome back. Teachers in the country have raised concerns over their pay fixation agreement and other issues concerning their pay. Issues concerning new graduates facing difficulty being on payroll were also raised. They appealed to their employers to work together and address some of their issues.
In a media conference today, teachers raised concerns on some of their outstanding issues. These issues include the 3-year salary fixation agreement 2017 to 2019. The agreement ended in 2019 and they are wondering if there will be another 3-year agreement.
So last year we worked without receiving any form of increment. Now we are about to start a new year. Is there an agreement in place? I don't think there is one agreement in place, salary fixation agreement. And the back date of last year, the whole of 2020, when and how they're going to implement the process of payment for these outstanding.
Graduate teachers also raised concerns on payroll. They say most graduate teachers throughout the country are having difficulty being put on payroll. They have continued to teach without pay and this is affecting their performances. A teacher also claimed some have not received their diplomas.
Some of us, without diploma, we have taught a year and we didn't got our pay as yet. And when we come and check up here in FinCorp, they ask a lot of questions to us, where some of us, we are new to this place.
The kind of work that salary officers are doing here. This land of people plant is tabe. People got plant is some kind issue where salary all no fix him. Okay, some teachers still offered now staff. People stop it like now.
The teachers further appealed to their employers to work together to have their issues addressed. They claimed lack of cooperation between responsible authorities is the reason most of their pending matters are prolonged.
I expect the union to come and compromise with our employers, TSC and National Education Department. The Commission has to explain to us why they cannot listen to negotiate matters affecting teachers with our delegated people, the PNGTA executive.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
National Pandemic Response Controller David Manning is calling on all citizens to adopt measures contained in the new normal or new Plapasin. Controller Manning says citizens need to adopt measures in the new normal that will save lives. Manning said most of the cases reported are through community transmission, which mean that the people must take precaution and adhere to measures in the new normal. The controller reminded citizens of wearing a face mask, washing of hands with soap, keep social distancing while coughing and sneezing into a bent elbow. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 cases now stand at 835 with 9 known deaths. The Papua New Guinea Defence Force has welcomed its new political head in a parade today in Port Moresby. Reappointed Defence Minister Solam Mirisim takes over the responsibility of managing the Defence Force from outgoing Minister Saki Soloma. This follows the recent Marape-led government reshuffle in 2020.
Held at the PNGDF headquarters at MARU Barracks, the handover takeover parade included members of the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment and the 4th Support Battalion. Outgoing Minister Saki Soloma served as Minister for Defence for at least 18 months, enough time to grasp an understanding on challenges faced by the PNGDF, from welfare of serving members, recruitment and security operations, to plans for the modernization of the Defence Force.
Minister, as you are aware, Ministry of Defence has been given additional responsibilities to oversee the National Fire Service, the National Disaster Centre, and the National Volunteer Services. It is our government's dream to have all youths and able-bodied persons involved in volunteer work join the reserve force of PNG Defence Force or be part of the disaster management helping hand in the country. As such,
Reappointed Defence Minister in a prepared speech highlighted the areas of focus that remains as outstanding priorities for the national government. These areas range from the restructuring of PNGDF as an organization, international obligations, and the Defence White Paper policy.
As your incoming minister, I am committed to doing my bit to represent you well in the cabinet so that you get adequate support for your administration, operations and growth and development of the force.
A ministerial brief was also presented to Minister Mirisim to continue on from where the outgoing minister has left off. Commander of PNGDF Gilbert Toropo says while the change is done at the political level, the Army remains focused on its operation and has thanked the bilateral military partners in their continued support towards PNG and PNGDF.
But as the Commander of PNG Defence Force, I welcome the new minister and also farewell the outgoing minister. The outgoing minister has been with us for the last 18 months. He has provided great leadership for us. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19 and other political situations, we could not progress some of our major projects as smoothly as we would have loved to. But despite those challenges, he had provided a great leadership, and we managed to continue to deploy a significant number of our troops up in the islands.
Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Community health workers at the Busamang Aid Post in Morbes UN Gulf will now be able to store and administer immunization for children in the community now that the aid post has a new solar panel and refrigerator. Community health worker Anne Berlin Anjen said over the years they've had to wait for vaccine to be brought in from Salamaua. With the solar panel and refrigerator, they can now store the supplies and administer immunizations for babies and children on time. These items were donated by the UN Gulf students from the University of Papua New Guinea. Anjan said she was grateful for this donation as it will help their operation and benefit the community.
So me want the colleague blow me mit laken sim vaccines blow mit direct long logistics come story me lo ya stop na mit laken working baby suit blow every month instead of mit la waiting online lo salamo lo come na running baby suit or immunization program blow mit la.
And now looking at the NAS Fund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 US, $0.3566 Australian dollars, $0.3862 New Zealand dollars, and 28.1 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee and cocoa closed higher, and copra closed lower. Palm oil closed higher, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. And Chukai Sports is next. Fidelis Sukina joins us at the sports desk.
Thank you, Helen. SPPNG Hunters training program intensifies with their departure to Brisbane just around the corner, and the Charles Lee Cup winners. Details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Good night and welcome to Trukai Sports. The countdown has begun with less than 2 weeks to go before the SPPNG Hunters depart for Queensland. The training program has intensified. Hunters coach Matthew Church has combined the areas worked on during the pre-season training camp along with a more focused approach towards the attacking and defensive aspects of the Hunters game.
It's crunch time for the SPPNG Hunters with 2 weeks left before the team's scheduled departure to Queensland. Coach Matthew Church has focused on combining the attacking and defensive aspects of the Hunters game as he fine-tunes the team's preparations. Changing and forming positive game habits on the field has been an ongoing task for Coach Church as he continues to correct and encourage the players to improve their techniques.
The boys have some habits that are I guess left over from lack of coaching in juniors, and Digicel Cup they like to play really deep, but with the game speed in ISC you've got to play flat and fast, and you've got to get them to play a lot flatter and on the ball. So yeah, just about correcting those habits, but they're getting there. We're not going to be perfect after a couple of weeks of pre-season. It'll be a work in progress going into the season, and hopefully we're somewhere near the finished product when the competition starts winding up and we're hitting the ground running.
The young halves combination of Judah Rimbu and Solomon Pukari has continued to impress Coach Church since returning from the break. The duo's continued development will certainly add to the Hunters' attacking arsenal.
Yeah, I think that our young halves, Judah Rimbu and Solomon Pukari, quite calm for young guys, so that composure is really good. I watched Judah play a couple of games before we come into camp. Some nines, and yeah, he does some little things that you don't really expect of a 19-year-old. And they're hard to coach into him. It's scanning the ruck and counting numbers, and he's got a quite calm head on his shoulders. And I was impressed by him in the Digicel Cup. He was telling guys that are much older than him to settle down and do stuff. So if you're willing to do that as a 19-year-old, you've got a fair amount of composure.
The Hunters will continue as normal with their preparations, with Coach Church keeping an eye on the developments in Queensland regarding the team's departure date.
we've come a long way. I think we're advanced of what we were this time last year. So I'm really happy, but there's still a lot of work to be done, and we'll just keep building towards the relocation date. Hopefully we get some news soon about that approval coming through. So we're just obviously waiting on the Queensland Government to give us that, and then we can nail down the exact date that we're going to leave. 31st was my ideal date. So we're hoping to still stick to that, but we'll find that out in the next week or so.
Axel Lovai, Trukai Sports.
While Trukai Industries Limited remains a major supporter of sports in Papua New Guinea, the COVID-19 pandemic situation last year has caused the company to look at alternative ways to implement the sponsorship programs this year. The Trukai Fun Run has been a popular event that the company has hosted over 20 years in supporting PNG athletes to the Olympic Games in the past. However, this has been a challenge since last year, as sporting events locally and internationally were either postponed or cancelled.
Sport is one of the main events, not just locally but internationally, that has been impacted by COVID. And the Olympic Games that were scheduled for last year has been moved to this year. And as part of our sponsorship to the PNG Olympic Committee through the Trukai Fun Run, which we've been doing for 22 years, the actual fundraising is for international events such as the Olympic, and the fundraising is so that we could send our athletes to attend those events. And due to that, we obviously had to cancel the Trukai Fun Run, and this year, we're working on some plans, but that may be the case as well. Being that COVID is still here, and we're going through a second wave globally. And so we're still working very closely with the PNG Olympic Committee, what that looks like for the fun run this year. And we've just renewed our contract, was it last year, for another 4 years. So we're still supporting sports, but it may look different for the calendar for this year.
We're more selective with our sponsorship programs, because some things aren't working because they haven't, like sporting programs for much of 2020 were postponed. So then you've got to think about how you redirect that sponsorship and support to areas which are active and are working.
Coombe Blockers are winners of the off-season District of Origin rugby competition in the Western Highlands Province, the Charles Lee Inaugural Cup. The grand final on Sunday saw Coombe Blockers defeating Mulnorts 12 points to 10, walking away with the Charles Lee Cup and a 10,000 kina prize money.
Coombe Blockers scored first 5 minutes into the match with a converted try to take the lead 6-0 against Mulnorts. The Blockers weren't done yet and followed through with the second try, but a failed conversion left the scores 10-0, the Blockers taking the lead into half-time. The Mulnorts came back strong in the second half, scoring in the opening minutes, an unconverted try reducing the deficit to 6 points, Knots trailing the Coombe Blockers 10 points to 4. The first 20 minutes of the second half was a tough encounter, with both teams holding on in defence, limiting try-scoring opportunities. But things changed when the Coombe Blockers were gifted a penalty goal in the Knots 30-metre line. A successful conversion took them to a 12-4 lead. Mulnorts did not back down and claimed their second try with a successful conversion kick, trailed 10-12. The Coombe Blockers maintained their defence till the 80th minute, coming out winners 12 points to 10.
Grand final strong game, mibla play one time all Mulnorts so brother mibla. Now one the tough game through mibla play strong. At last mibla find him out to say mibla come mibla Coombe Blockers mibla winning grand final.
Charles Lee Cup sponsor Charles Lee said the off-season competition is to identify raw talent for selections into the National Rugby League competition. Franchises from the National Rugby League teams have also witnessed the competition and will select players according to their criteria.
Now rugby come. Ben sabes na blomanga good thinking and basketball, volleyball, all these sports come. But me don't thank you Lord to the community throughout Western Highlands. Los stadiums event successfully over 3 months. Na me don't finals there.
Thank you, Western Islands.
The off-season match will begin again in October this year. Vasanata Yama, Trukai Sports.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports. Helen will be back with the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Partly cloudy with possible showers and thunderstorms in Port Moresby. Occasional rain showers and thunderstorms easing to a cloudy evening in Daru. Becoming partly cloudy with evening thundery showers in Kerma. Becoming cloudy with thundery showers possible in Alotau. And fine partly cloudy with evening showers and drizzles in Popondita. In the Mamasa region, mostly fine, though partly cloudy with late evening drizzles in Lae. Becoming partly cloudy with evening shower or two in Medang. A few rain showers and partly cloudy weather in Wewak, and partly cloudy with evening thundery shower or two in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, a few showers and partly cloudy weather in Lorengau. Mostly fine, though partly cloudy with a few showers tonight in Kavieng. Becoming partly cloudy with possible drizzles tonight in Kokoporabal and Kimbe, and partly cloudy with later evening shower or two in Buka. And in the Highlands region, partly cloudy with evening showers developing in Mount Hagen, partly cloudy with evening rain drizzles in Goroka and Kundiawa, and a few evening rain showers and drizzles, then partly cloudy weather in Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.